सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। Om Shri Sai Ram. Our prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our divine Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. It is so wonderful to have a satsang like this so regularly, so promptly on each Sunday, which has been organized by the small Sai Geetam family of Singapore ever since COVID has started. And now it is called as Govind Satsang because Swami has given us a platform where we are able to listen to his chosen instruments who come share their experiences, and each time we have new learnings, new things to learn. And also Swami has his own surprises at the last minute where he chooses whom he would make his instrument speak. And today we are fortunate that we have with us Anand Ramaswamy. Anand Ramaswamy is absolutely a very, very affable person. The usual traits of Swami student is absolutely pregnant with him, like his calm demeanor, a very pleasant smile always sporting, and yes, the commitment towards whatever he takes up. Having spent 5 years in Swami's college, 2 years in Puttaprathi doing 11th and 12th, and then 3 years he finished his commerce graduation from Brindavan campus. He has been a Mandir harmonium player, a part of the Mandir Bhajan group. Subsequently, when he is in Sai Samithi, he is a very active member. Right from his days after Swami's institution, he has been very actively leading a lot of youth bhajans also till now. He's still, one of the, we call him as young at heart. Or any youth bhajan is never complete without Anand being there, even now. So, and he has had many, even post also for Shivratri also, the entire group would go to Puttaparthi, Prashanthi Nilayam, and they would sing bhajans in the Mandir premises, where Anand would always be a prominent participant. As Anand himself puts, he can never imagine life without Swami, and he could never imagine what his life would have been if he was not in Swami's fold. Swami is his life, his essence. That's what he says. We are very thankful that at very short notice, he agreed to, talk to us. And I am very delighted personally because I am also fortunate to hear him for the first time in a formal satsang background. Many times I've heard him, but in a satsang background, I'll be hearing him for the first time. Thank you so much, Anandji. Over to you, Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I hope I am clearly audible and visible at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Sathya, for the confirmation. And a huge round of compliments and thanks to Satyaji and the other seniors and our brothers and sisters and family members from the Singapore Samiti. I have had opportunities to speak to some of our extended families in other countries and other parts of the country, but never had a chance to connect with the families in the Singapore Samiti. So it's a great opportunity. Look forward to many such sessions in the future, where on an evening on a Sunday when I'm a little free, I will also join and listen to many more of such great Parayanam and Satsang sessions. Satyaji, so do remember to include me in your mailing list. I would like to thank.
It will be coming to you automatically. Automatically, it will be coming to you.
Thanks a lot. I would like to thank Srini profusely for two reasons. One, for giving this opportunity to connect with all of you, and for giving me profusely a couple of hours of advance notice and putting me to a spot to that extent. But then he is such a loving brother, is so down to earth that it is just impossible to refuse anything that he asks. So his wish is our command, and we would implement it, whatever he says. So Sriniji, thanks. I don't have any rehearsed script because I'm not a natural speaker. I haven't had, while I've spoken at numerous official occasions, on a personal occasion, it is more of a heart-to-heart chat with our family members and friends. So I will just share some of the experiences I have enjoyed during my time, and feel free to please participate in the conversation, and let's have a satsang both ways. Srini as well as Sathya, invitation to both of you to please chip in whenever. So I will kind of go back in time a little bit and interrupt me in case I'm not audible or the connection breaks. I joined Swami's institution in the year 1989 as a student in my 11th standard. Now, the uniqueness of this whole period is, why did I join Swami's institution? Because most people who leave, I stay in Mumbai. Mumbai is probably gifted with the best of education institutions. People come from other parts of the country into bigger cities to study. Why would someone like me, and I'm a typical Tamil Brahmin family, why would I want to leave and go to some other part to study? This is how my entire orientation with Swami started. If I can, my father is sitting right next to me. My daughter is also here next to me, Mansi, 16-year-old, helping me with the Zoom gadgetry. Appa and me, we went for a wedding somewhere in 1989. I was a 15-year-old young boy. I'm 47 now. And we had to go. Those days, obviously, Puttaprathi today is way more comfortable in terms of the worldly features and infrastructure. Those days, there was just nothing. The 4 or 5 buildings, a round block was the last. After that, there was no Puttaprathi at all. None of the sheds existed. Very, very meager facilities. I guess that charm was far better. The uniqueness for me is, I have never seen Sathya Sai Baba. I do not know who is Sathya Sai Baba. Frankly, people will think I'm bluffing, but I know Swami knows the truth. If you show me 5 photographs of various, let's say, spiritual leaders and tell me which one of that is Sathya Sai Baba, I could not have recognized. It is in that position that I got down at Dharmavaram. Guntakal, we took a detour. We got down at Dharmavaram, and we were going to a wedding in Chennai. Before that, we said, "Seri, or a small detour point, let us check out this place called Puttaprathi." So there is this lady who stays about few buildings away from where I stay in Chembur. So her son was already studying there, and she would say, "Go, have a look. It's a nice place. You should go." And that time, after finishing your 10th, you're always a little anxious. Where will you join your 11th standard? Formal education becomes a bit of a tension point, because you won't get the best of colleges. If you don't get the best of colleges, then the next best of colleges become difficult, and all that anxiety any 10th standard goes to. And I was not the topper of the class, nor was I in the bottom. Somewhere in the middle is where my marks used to be. So Swami had to educate me, otherwise I would not have known where I would have joined. I went there, we got on Dharmavaram, and that's when somewhere in the railway station wall, I saw Swami's photo for the first time. Now, somebody who's never seen Swami's photo, never heard of the Sathya Sai ashram or a concept, seeing Swami's photo looked a little thing. Oh, wow, who is this person dressed in orange, having a large amount of hair, and what is this whole thing? Because you come from a complete, you're not a non-believer, but you never heard. There are people you never heard about, so you will have no mental opinion about what the entire Sai mission is all about. It is in this frame of mind that Appa and me, we went to Puttaprathi. We went inside the ashram, and in a few days, we got to know that there is an exam going on. I went just to figure out that there is an exam going on. I never went prepared. I didn't study a word. I did what my normal 10th standard I would do. We were going for a wedding in the family. I can imagine the setting. I went. Because we went there, we were prepared for writing an exam. I wrote the exam. I was a little above average student. I was never the topper. I came 3rd in the entrance exam across thousands of students. Now, I don't even know whether I wrote the entire paper. I must have missed some questions. Swami had in his mind that this fellow had to be studying there. There is a bigger game plan that I am unable to, after 35 years or 32 years of knowing Swami, I'm unable to make out what his bigger plan. He must have sat with me and wrote the exam for me and got me 3rd rank in the admission. I'm never in the 10 years of my education ever scored that high. But I came 3rd in the entrance. That's very surprising. So Swami wrote with me. We went there, we looked at the whole thing. I still, Appa and me, once in a while, we discuss that place looked so arid. There was only jungles and stones and all that. So when you're staying in a place like Mumbai, which is the metropolitan best you can expect in India, why would you want to go to a remote village which has got a few buildings and one Baba, as they claim? We had a lot of reverence for spiritual leaders, but we had never heard about Baba. So in this angle, how do I join? So we said, chalo, let's give it a shot. We went, I got the admission, and then somewhere it was Swami's handiwork. We decided that we will go and join. We went and joined. My admission went through. I went to Puttaprathi, even now as consistently. In the month of June, the admissions would commence. So June of 1989, I went and joined with my little bag and all. So things are very new. You can't tuck in your shirt. You're supposed to wear a white shirt and a white pant. 11th standard is when you open up into the college atmosphere. So a spiritual ashram kind of an atmosphere was not something I was very sure about. So I started, let us see how it goes. Chala. Otherwise, we can always go back to Mumbai. What is the harm? You see, for someone today who is pining to join there, those days we never had the orientation. I said, why not? I went there. I stayed there. I loved the place. I fell in love with the place after some months. That's when my first and probably the biggest miracle, so to say, or the experience of Bhagwan happened. When we saw Bhagwan physically for the first time, I'm actually getting goosebumps. It is so difficult to explain that aura that Swami carries when he walks around. Those were the days when the sands in the Mandir ashram was getting concretized. So we were among the first batch of people who sat on the concrete area. Bulk of Puttaprathi was still sands in those 1989 regime. I joined in June. June went by, middle of June, then July went by. I couldn't adjust myself to the place very initially. I'm used to our own type of mom's food and our own type of cuisine and everything. Going there and eating a place where there is rasam floating with a layer of garlic, it wouldn't suit me. Now I realized that was this place from a food point of view, and there is no fan also in the room. There is no room for yourself. There are 15 of us in a room. What to do? Little by little, I kind of, I won't say I developed a dislike, but I felt a little uncomfortable with the place. And as luck would have it, somewhere around early August, I fell ill. And normally I'm a fairly healthy guy. I fell ill. And I fell so badly ill that I couldn't get up from the bed and sit on the chair. Some 25 days, 20 days, I was bedridden. Couldn't attend colleges. College, forget. I couldn't sit on the bed to go to the washroom or have a bath. Two boys has to carry me along and it became so badly ill. Fever of unexplainable proportions. If you keep my hand on my forehead, it will be blazing. That is the experience I had for some 20 odd days. Middle of August till end of September, end of August. 1st of September was my date of birth and birthday. On birthday, there is a habit in Puttaprathi then, and I'm sure with passage of time things got a little lesser. You could carry a tray of chocolates with cloves and badam and all those things and present to Swami. Swami would come and bless the birthday boys. All the boys who have their birthday, they could sit in the first row right in the beginning. Some 2-3 slots were reserved for whoever was the birthday during that period, and you could go. Believe me, sir, Shini, I couldn't get up and get out of the college. I couldn't wear my proper clothes, shave and come. I was unkempt for 15-20 days of just lying bedridden. But since it's a birthday and I won't get a chance again, I said, chalo, let us see. And I had mentally prepared. Little more prolonging, I'm going to remove my education, go back to Mumbai and figure out what I have to do in life. Because I was just not able to manage. I went there. I was blazing. Must be 104, 105. I went and sat in the Mandir. I didn't go. I was picked up, and there is this Maruti Omni kind of a vehicle that existed where all the six students were sent to hospital and brought back. Two boys literally carried me and plonked me in the front, the first row in Puttaprathi. Now, this is about 3-4 in the afternoon. Swami is expected to come out for darshan. Swami came out for darshan. I was sitting for 15 odd minutes because there is a little time before you assemble, and then Swami comes a little time later. Then you hear the Mandir music, the fantastic music, and you know that Swami is coming, and then Khyal Das would come, which means Swami is coming right behind his expectation. I was almost falling off. I was pleading to my friends, take me back from here. I can't sit. I was physically just not possible. Then Swami came. When Swami came, there is obviously some energy that comes. Swami came right up to me, looked at me, created vibhuti, sprinkled some on my forehead, applied on my forehead, on my head, forehead he applied, and he gave some in my hand to eat. And then he blessed the couple of other boys and we went on. Swami materializing anything is something I have never seen, because I'm not from the Sai ashram background. Today, my daughter is born and brought up in a Sai related house, so she hears about this from her younger days. We had never heard. So I picked, I know what is vibhuti, how to use, but I've never been used to Swami's concept. So right in front, Swami is materializing vibhuti, and he gave me. So I applied and I sat there, I folded the vibhuti, kept it in my pocket. 5 minutes later, Swami is out for darshan. 5 minutes later, I was sure after Swami takes some people for interview is when the darshan period gets over. Then there is a little gap, and then the bhajan start about an hour and a half later. I was telling my friends, yeah, as soon as Swami goes into the mandir, please come, lift me back to the hostel. I can't sit here anymore. That is how I had guided them, and then I came and sat. I even know when I say I'm getting goosebumps, my body was blazing. As soon as Swami came in the vibhuti, my head slowly became cool. Little later, my forehead became cool. I could feel two distinctly different temperatures on my face. That memory is still very fresh in my mind. My forehead became cool. Then my nose became cool. My nose will be cold, but my jaw area will be blazing hot. Like a typical black and white movie. Little by little, the temperature in about 10 minutes completely reduced. And a boy who couldn't sit for 20 days, couldn't sit on his chair for 20 days and had to be carried to the washroom or couldn't eat, stood up and ran in front and actually occupied, sat bhajans, had everything, walked back home. That ambulance was waiting outside to take me back to the hostel. I walked back home. And then next day morning on his proper college and every school and everything. As if nothing ever happened. Well, a person who's never heard of Bhagwan, who's never heard of Swami, who's not a non-believer, but you need to know something to add that kind of faith. Those days there never was any internet or anything. We used to write letters back home. I wrote this whole episode back to Amma and Appa saying this is what happened with me. Because the warden was almost ready. 1 or 2 more days we will see, or we'll send this boy back home. Because every year there are some instances of medical emergency and students are sent back because they don't know what background they come from. We were a new batch. 89, that one incident. 35 years on now, thankfully with Swami's grace, nothing has happened. Everything is fine. He's taken care of our whole family. That was my first orientation into the whole Sai. For a person who's never been in this scene, there's a complete change in worldview. The next day onwards, I got into this whole thing with such a vigor. I learned an instrument, I participated in bhajans, attended Nagar Sangeeta and whatever, all the activities. Till the earlier day, I was not sure. The food I never used to like, I started loving, put on some weight. I used to be skinny. Don't go by how I look now. I used to be half my weight then. And I used to be skinny. I could see my bones. And then I went on. And then the entire Sai plan that he had in mind for a boy to come and join in. I'm saying Swami has his own method. We feel that we are the ones who are taking care of our own body, our own health and all that. He has his own mechanism somewhere plotted out. I do not know what he had in mind, why he wrote an exam for me, got me admitted there, what was his bigger plan. But I would say this is something, was one of the biggest game changer, I would say, incidences in my life when I started. That is how I got ushered into this entire Sai. Today, like they say, once Vednarayan sir had come to Bombay to Dharmkshetra, Vednarayan sir or Sai sir, I don't recollect. One of the two, I think Sai sir. He mentioned that somewhere when let's say you trip over a stone when you're walking or you hit a door, by default you say Sai Ram. Like you're, as an instinct you say Sai Ram. And you don't say, oh, sorry, excuse me, all that. By default in our mouth it comes Sai Ram. And that is the age when you are so much into Swami's institution. And we moved into that fold. Amma, Appa, who were not so much into Swami's, then all became, they visited Puttaprathi more often. Our family got into this. Through our family, 2 more of my cousins started studying there over the years. All of us kind of completely became a Sai family. So I would say that was my very first moment of knowing Swami, getting into the ashram and getting inculcated into this whole Sai discipline. Ever since, it's been a roller coaster journey. In retrospect, I feel that I still made 2 mistakes. One mistake is, why did I pass my exams? I wished I would have flunked every subject so that I can stay there and longer and continue enjoying the fantastic experience. And I finished my graduation and came back. Obviously, even though there have been some fantastic miracles, our understanding of today vis-a-vis 35 years back was so different. I wish I had today's understanding of Bhagwan and his entire mission back when I was 15-year-old. I would have lived each day some 10 times more with so much of vigor. So I would say that's how I started. The years went by. A couple of years later, Amma had come, and Swami gave my mom and my grandmom an interview. We were also there. And Swami materialized a locket for me and a chain, and Swami materialized a lingam. So while we are all Vaishnavites, and we are all Vadagala Vaishnavites, so to say, we are not so orthodox that we don't believe. We visit every temple, even then, prior to Swami's era, if I can call it so. Then after Swami, everything is Sarva Dharma. Swami materialized a lingam for mommy, my mom, Amma. And ever since, this is the year 1991, ever since, every single day till she merged with Swami in the year 2016, Every single day, there has not even been a single day that Amma wouldn't do an abhishekam of the lingam and partake the lingam water as prasadam in our house. So our house has been in Swami's fold ever since 1989, and I wish I would have known about Bhagwan much earlier than that. So my orientation to Swami has a nice game master plan. We feel that we are having some control and we are making things in our mind. I don't think so it is like that. It was Swami's love, Swami's affection. Swami has his own mechanism of enjoying the devotees and playing with them and then giving them experiences, making them learn through it and come into this fold. Now, just to share, I think we have about a dozen of us on the Zoom chat. Srini and me, for Sathya, I'm meeting you today for the first time. Srini and me, with the first time we met him, obviously he's a devotee from Nerul Samiti, I'm from Chembur Samiti. I met him through some Sai contacts. But within a couple of occasions, we got so much of bonding with each other as if we have known each other right from our younger days. Apart from the fact that he's such a fantastic gentleman and we are all families, we love with each other, it is Swami's aura that connects all of us together. Otherwise, if it is not Sai affection, what is there for all of us to feel so nice about each other? Ilya, Srini sir, isn't this, I think it's Swami's prema that is completely covering all of us. So I thought, why don't we sing one bhajan and enjoy Swami's love in a very nice way? Sathya sir, if that's okay with you?
Yes, sure. Everything is okay, whatever you are doing.
All right. I'm not a Mandir singer or something, but then bhajans all of us sing, so we'll all participate.
प्रेम ईश्वर है, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
ईश्वर प्रेम है,
ईश्वर है, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
हर धड़कन में साई समान है, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
हर धड़कन में साई समा है, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
हर धड़कन में साई समान है, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
हर धड़कन में साई समा है, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
राम रहीम कृष्ण करीम,
राम रहीम कृष्ण करीम,
सौराष्ट्र
ज़ोराष्ट्र यीशु नानक,
कोई नाम कहो रे मनवा, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
कोई भी नाम जपो रे मनवा, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
नाम जपो रे मनवा, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
मनवा कोई भी नाम जपो रे मनवा, ईश्वर प्रेम है।
प्रेम ईश्वर है, ईश्वर प्रेम। प्रेम ईश्वर है, ईश्वर प्रेम है। कोई भी नाम जपो मनवा, ईश्वर प्रेम है। I love this bhajan. It's a great Sarvadharma bhajan. It talks about Swami being love and love being Swami. Can't think of any other. If you were to summarize entire Swami, what do you mean by Swami in one word? I would say Swami is love. Swami creates love. Swami emanates love. any interaction about Swami creates love. Any interaction about anything to do with Swami has got some love aspect to it. Why do you feel so fondly about somebody from Singapore or a set of a dozen of them from Singapore whom I've never heard or spoken to before? Is only because of Sai love. And I can't find a more stronger power to connect people globally than something like this. I don't think so there is any other institution worldwide which emanates such selfless love the way Swami has created in this Sai institution. And all of us are fortunate in our own way to partake this nectar in abundant measure. This is an unemptiable vessel, Akshay Patra, that keeps giving as much as you want going on. So I'll narrate another very, very interesting incident that happened a little later in life, about a decade from then, 2002. I was getting married. I was 28 and a half, 29. And as always, every decision in our life is Swami. So Appa and Amma went to Puttaprathi. They gave the card. My wife Manju, we were to get married. It's an arranged marriage. She came from a family who had not heard of Bhagwan, but that's how the Sai family increases. The Swami had taken the wedding card, so we took it as Swami's message for the blessing. We came back here. So there is a lady in Chembur. There's a family in Chembur in whose house there's a lot of Swami's Leela that is manifest. Vibhuti comes in hordes. Amrit falls in regular occasions. There are Shivlingas get manifested, and the family is a fantastic family. So we had a habit of usually keeping Patrika. Let's say we go to Meena Mami's house or we go to some of these people. So we went to this lady's house, and we had the in South India we call it this Pura Podavai, the one that the bride wears during the wedding, the 9-yard Nawari. So we took that wedding sari and we went and placed it in front of Swami. So they have a duplicate kind of a house then. We went to the first floor of the house. There is this altar of Bhagwan. So there is this Mangal Sutra made in gold, which was kept for the marriage, which was made from our side. We took it, kept it on the sari and kept it in Swami's Paduka. And we just came down for some time. We were just 3-4 of us, me, mom, and the family members to whom apart. We went down. There's nobody else there. We went down. We had some tea, coffee, some basic pleasantries exchanged. About 15 minutes later, we went back. The sari was there, but the Mangal Sutra is missing. The Mangal Sutra that we had kept for blessing on top of the sari, packed the sari, bought from Nallis or something with that typical tying and everything, we had kept it on top. The Mangal Sutra is missing. Now, and a month or so, month and a half or something left to the marriage, and we weren't sure what to do. Mangal Sutra is missing. How could it go? It's the residence. I'm supposed to get married. I don't know what to do. Is Swami saying yes? Now Swami saying no, God knows what. And we came back home. She said, TK, you go back home. The Swami has his message. 2 days later, Napa is here and we are going through our memory. 2 days later, the auntie calls saying, Swami is blessed, please come. Now, Swami is blessed, nobody knows what Swami is blessed, how, what, because auntie got Swami's instructions. So we went back. The sari is kept just where it was. And there is no sign. Swami is blessed, what? Okay. We took the liberty of opening the sari. Now, the 9-yard sari tightly packed is not something you can open like a kerchief and close back. It is nicely tightly tied inside that nice bundle the way they sell it. So we took the liberty of opening. Somewhere inside the 3rd fold or the 4th fold, the Mangal Sutra was there with so much of kumkum that Swami had materialized. How did the Mangal Sutra get into the sari? Where did the kumkum come from? In a packed sari that we bought from a Nallis. And it was there when we gave it. We came down, had a cup of coffee, went back to pick up the sari, and the Mangal Sutra had vanished. Now, Swami has got into my life in so many ways. Getting me admitted into formal education, my marriage getting solemnized, such a fantastic blessing that he had given with kumkum. We just couldn't imagine any further. So these are all, if you ask me, miracles. What bigger miracle can one expect in such a thing? Maybe this year, at the end of this year, it will be 20 years of a very happy and a very blissful married life in Sai Seva. It's all Swami's blessings to us. So such an incident at that age was very, very nice, because by then we had known enough of Sai institution. I was an ex-student. All that was going on. It was a very, very great occasion that we thought we should do. I'll share a couple of instances that happened during our time in Puttaprathi. So that's of a lot of interest to do. There used to be this concept called as, today if I go back, I kick myself, how can such thoughts get into your head? There is this concept called as 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Students used to walk from hostel to Mandir in rows of 3 and serpentine columns. You're supposed to be 3 in a row to go. So the guy who gets this 1.1 slot, there's a bag full of numbers and you put your hand and you pick out a number. So that there is some order on the way the students go to Mandir and there is no rush and there is some decorum. So the devotees watching you, students are walking inside, there should be some decency. So once, somehow surprisingly, I got Swami's wish, I got 1.1. Now can you imagine our fortune, and looking back, those were moments, if I had today's mind, then I would have enjoyed it tenfold. You can hear the students running into Sai Brindavan and Brindavan after a point. They are disciplined to a point where the teachers are watching. But when you see Swami's door, nobody understands all this discipline. All these boys behave well and all go through the wind. You just rush there because once you when you run fast over the lawn and you cut at a particular angle at a speed, you're at a vantage position to beat the others in the queue. And you can hit the Trai door in a manner that I won't let this guy, I won't let that guy. You're the first guy inside Swami's Trai ashram. So you go and sit right below the Jula. So this is the opportunity the 1.1% gets. So I got that once. And I did all the heroic running, everything. Can you believe for the next 1.5 hours? Now, I don't know how much more to thank Swami for such opportunities. Swami's feet were on my thighs for the next 1.5 hours because he came to the Jula. There were people talking, giving speeches, multiple Paranam sessions going on. Swami would do that for whoever boy who comes and sits there. I had a chance to do Pada Seva for Swami for 1 to 1.5 hours. I recollect after a point my leg would ache because Swami's feet, all said and done, I'm a 16, 17-year-old boy and Swami's feet is on my leg and he's keeping it for 1 hour. Swami, my leg is aching. Can you move your leg a little bit? That's the thought in your mind. Then you realize that, boss, there is God sitting and giving you Pada Seva and you're wondering what to do. Those were the opportunities some of us were fortunate to get. Swami's feet was on your lap, sitting as if, there's no space, there's no ground. People have crowded their entire area. Swami has to trample on people and go and sit there. He came and sat and he gave us Pada Seva opportunities. And those were the things. Summer showers on Brindavan were another opportunity. Amazing food. Swami coming and sitting next to you. You are eating and 2 tables away. Swami is sitting and eating. Swami is giving you blessings. Swami is looking at you. What are you eating? Why aren't you eating more? Eat less, eat more. You become fat, lose some weight. You're so thin, put on some more weight, eat some more food. All that stuff. So that is the kind of typical motherly affection that Swami would come and do to all the boys. So many of us were so fortunate to have such physical proximity. And me being in the bhajan group, I recollect another incident that I'll share. An amazing incident. Swami used to have he used to play a lot of games with the boys. No, he used to have this, so to say, he's angry with the boys, period. He should look at the boys. Sometimes he will not look at the boys. Sometimes he will not talk to them. There will be this small spell of a few days where he would just ignore the boy. And anybody who's been Parthi, all of you have been, you will realize that if Swami wants to look at you, he'll look at you quite nice and square. If he wants to miss you, you can try popping your head wherever, you can try to make yourself most visible, but he will just not look at you. He will look at the guy next to you. He'll look at the guy behind you, ahead of you, never look at you. He has this masterpiece of missing your gaze. How much ever you pop your head and try, no way. He would just not look at you. He did that with the students for a very long period, multiple occasions. Brindavan, somehow I'm saying some instances where I had a chance to participate, and I'm trying to contour a suggestion so that the family members who are on this call will find it very interesting to listen. There used to be a habit where the Omkaram starts, where the harmonium person is keeping his hands. Most of the time his fingers are ready with the Shruti, because we all know what Shruti to start. Our first bhajan is ready. Omkaram is usually in the Shruti of the Ganesh bhajan, and fingers are ready waiting, because Swami would look at you and say, like he's sitting on top of the Sai Ramesh Hall stage, and you're in the bhajan area, and he would look at you and say, start. So that one nod, because he'll finish his darshan and come back, that nod indicates start of bhajans. Now, all of us used to fight tooth and nail, yaar to baki harmonium you play, let me just do the Omkar. Because you get to see Swami directly. Swami would look at you over as a harmonium player and say, That ke liye we used to die. And that 15-20 days period when Swami was not talking to the boys, that was a very, very big savior. I'm sitting there and waiting. Swami would look at me, not look at any other boy, because he has to look at someone to say start. No. How does he indicate the bhajan starting? So we'll wait. He'll say, We'll wait for the and then, ho gaya. Aaj ka din safal. 250 ladko, mujhe mere ko Swami ne dekha and I got a Man, we used to fight for that So there used to be a lot saying, who will go and sit in that 15-day period? Only for Omkaram. After that, you do what you want. I don't care. Swami looked at me, I'm happy. Those used to be some amazing. When I look back, I really wonder whether growing was a sin or what. Those days were amazing times. Swami used to have that childlike affection with the boys. Kids used to run around Swami, and I don't know, because you can't possibly explain this phenomenon in any other form. I've seen so many other spiritual groups across the globe, they don't have the stuff that is there in Sai Ashram or during students and Swami's presence. It was an amazing feeling. Swami used to distribute a lot of sweets. I'll tell you another very, very interesting story. How that motherly affection comes, and we will have another nice version around it. Swami used to distribute a lot of sweets to this, to devotees. Okay, so this happened in Puttaprathi. We had come to Puttaprathi from Brindavan, just I think Diwali or one of Dashara or some occasion. We used to come at least 3 or 4 times a year apart from our annual holidays. So Swami is distributing, and those days Son Papdi used to be a very regularly distributed item. I recollect, me among some 20-30 more boys used to come inside, carry those. Whoever around were asked, Andaraja, boys, please go pick up the vessels of sweets and please give it to the devotees and students around. So after you do that, you go and put the trays back because you want to put it there because that is inside Swami's room. You get to look at Swami is one added attraction to put the tray back. Actually, you don't care about the tray. You're looking at whether can I catch a glimpse of Bhagwan. So we did that. So on one particular day, it so happened. In my mind, the thought is such delicious Son Papdi. I didn't take even one for myself. The serving boys also get, but somebody, so usually the staff take care. They keep one box aside and they give it to all the boys who serve it. You can put one in your pocket and give to the others. No? That's not manners. You give to the serving and you always empty the tray and you go back. मेरे मन में ये thought है कि यार मेरे को नहीं मिला. I love Son Papdi. What do I have? How do I have it? And I'm going inside. And I'm going inside. Everybody has left the thing. I know there is still some Son Papdi left inside, but I can't take it. One for myself. Swami, ek main apne liye le lu. No, can't do that. No, that's not acceptable discipline. I put the trays back, and we are all one by one stepping out of the interview room area and going out. I'm the last in the sequence. When all the boys have stepped out and I'm about to go out, Swami said, "Hey, stop, Bombay Rowdy, stop." He used to call me Bombay Rowdy. For what reason, I don't know, but he used to call me Bombay Rowdy. Stop. Then he comes, and I look back, seeing Swami. I immediately kneel down in front of Swami. From the side of his chair, there is a vessel with some more Son Papdi left. He opens one Son Papdi, opens my mouth, and stuffs the whole Son Papdi into my mouth with his hands. He stuffs it into my mouth. It is all over my mouth, all this area. It's completely sticking all over. Swami has directly fed me because in my mind was, "Arey, mere ko Son Papdi khane ko kabhi milega. Swami ka prasad. When will I get to eat?" A little thought. And Swami fed. And then the beauty. I'll just finish this with a very, very beautiful narrative. He finishes. I eat it. He said, "Okay, now you go." I'm going. He said, "Hey, ruko." I come back and he just wipes my face, saying there are still pieces sitting outside. People outside will notice that you're sitting inside eating Son Papdi and going out. What will they think about Bhagwan? Go, wipe your face. So Swami just packs all the extra Son Papdi sticking onto my face and all that, and he just wipes it across and says, "Abhi tum jao." I just can't imagine the kind of affection which any Lord would give to his children. And there are many students with many, many such instances. I'm just narrating one very, very small one that I have experienced and I shared with my family members. That is Sai Mata, Sai Pita. While you can't imagine any other form of institution which gives this much affection to their children. So, Shri sir, in our bhajan, huh?
Sai Mata Pita Dina Bandhu Sakha.
Sai Mata Pita Dina Bandhu Sakha.
Sai Mata Pita Dina Bandhu Sakha.
तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम.
तेरे चरणों में मेरा साई कोटि प्रणाम.
तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम. तेरे कोटि प्रणाम. साई माता पिता दीनबंधु सखा.
साई माता पिता दीनबंधु सखा.
तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम. तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम. मुझे शक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा. मुझे शक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा. मुझे भक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा. मुझे भक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा. मुझे मुक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा
मुझे मुक्ति दो मेरे साई शिवा
साई माता पिता दीन बंधु सखा तेरे चरणों में साई मेरा कोटि प्रणाम. It's been what, about 25 years in corporate life now, and I'm sure with anybody who spent a good amount of time in large corporates. I worked in the largest private sector in India, private sector bank in India, ICICI Bank, for 18 years, and now I'm about 5.5 years in Yes Bank, which is the fifth largest bank. You always face hundreds of situations when you realize that it is very easy to compromise the values that Swami has taught you, the compromise that your parents have taught you. It is Swami's guiding force. I share with my folks as recent as a few days back also. There are trying times. I'm sure all of us have gone through these trials and tribulations at our workplace when you are forced to do things, or you get into a situation where you feel that you do not want to do what you're doing, or you feel that the situation demands a particular kind of behavior which is not acceptable by your own family values or ethics. Those are the moments I close my mind, I think of Bhagwan, I offer a prayer, and I ask Swami for guidance. You tell me, Bhagwan, what should I do at this point in time? Whatever I think, whatever I get a message from Bhagwan from my mind is what I do. Thankfully, life is moving on. It may not be the most commercially best, or it may not be the worst, but a very blissful and a satisfying life, because Swami is guiding you regardless of where you are. So from a surrender point of view, if we surrender ourselves and we agree that Bhagwan is the only driving force, you don't need to think of anything else. Swami will tell you at any point in time in some way or the another. It could be a quote that day that comes in several of our daily quotations, which will have matter very specific to your situation, or it could be a bhajan that you're listening to that morning, or some colleague will come and say about something that happened, which will give you a learning. There is some way through which Swami will come and grant his message to you, saying, in this difficult situation, this is my message to you, beta. Go ahead and live your life the way I recommend. I think all of us, crores of us across the world are so blessed to be associated with Bhagwan in our own respective way. To be very, very, somebody said when we were students that you will never understand what I'm saying now. You realize it when you become much older and you have children. And we keep connecting with our professors whenever we go back to Puttaprathi. He's saying, do you know how meritorious it is to be born in this era where God walked physically on earth? You could have been born 100 years earlier or 100 years later in the several thousand years of humankind. We chose this 1900 to 2100 period where Shirdi Baba ho or Sathya Se Baba and Prema Se Baba. This is the time when we are born where you can physically see Bhagwan, do sparshan, do darshan, do sambhashan, and have the opportunity to be with Bhagwan in physical presence and experiences love regardless of space and Singapore is not in Puttaparthi, but Singapore is in Puttaparthi the moment you close your mind and think of Bhagwan. And I'm sure everybody who's in this group listening must be resonating with this point of mind that Swami is as close to you as you can think of Bhagwan. You don't have to physically keep Swami away, that Swami is in Puttaparthi and I am somewhere else. That's never the case. Swami is as close to everyone. That's the beauty of Swami's occasion. I had mentioned that Swami used to call me Bombay Rowdy. So I want to share one more instance, which is very, very funny and very interesting. I will explain the instance and then I'll show you one photograph. I'll take my daughter's help, Mansi, to share a snap. One fine afternoon, Swami never comes out of the Darshan hall at about 12:31. He never comes. It's a lunchtime area. So Darshans are either in the morning or the evening. One fine day at some 2:30 or 2 o'clock, which is the middle of nowhere. It's neither evening darshan time nor is it morning darshan time. 2 o'clock, he comes out. And we were in we are in Puttaparthi. We belong to Brindavan. So we were staying in that East Prashanti campus touching Sai Govind. The building is still there, but students today, they stay somewhere else because there are more hostels now. Sorry. We were staying right there. So everybody says, Swami's come, Swami's come, Swami's come. There was a lot of furor. Immediately you will realize people are running from everywhere. The moment you hear that, that sound of 100 hippopotamus running, you realize that Swami has come out. It's a stampede kind of a environment. And the doors will shut, suddenly something will break and some bucket will be kicked and then some people will jump and that is the feeling because you have to run about 45-50 meters the side of the Mandir and get into the Mandir when Swami is there. Swami used to wait. Yeah, I can imagine the aerial view. If you had a drone shot, it would look like multiple ants are walking and coming. I to the nectar. That is the look it must have been. We all kept running, and I also kept running, and we also stood. we could see Swami as a spec because so many guys had come. And Swami was at the first floor, exactly above the bhajan hall door, and looked around and he was talking to everybody and speaking to some professors from the first floor. And then Swami said, where is Bombay Rowdy? Bombay Rowdy akada. Now, Bombay Rowdy, everybody knows my name is Bombay Rowdy. So they're looking for me. Andy, I'm standing at the front trying to catch a glimpse from the side. Then they said, you come. I couldn't go because there are so many people, so many students, you couldn't cut through. It's like Mumbai local trains. You can't go from the right side of the train to the left side of the train unless you plan for it 4 stations in advance. It's like that. So I had to come from inside the portico and come from behind and look at Swami like that. Because people are not moving back. No, how do I get a glimpse of Bhagavan? I'm looking there. Swami is looking at me and doing like this. I hope you are getting my visual very clearly. Swami is looking at me and taking his index finger and looking at me as if he's admonishing me. Hey, Bombay Rowdy, something like that. I said, yaar, kya ho gaya? Dopair ko Swami bula ke, he is doing like this. Something must have been big time wrong and I must have done some big mistake. Something has gone wrong. Then Swami throws one photograph. It's a laminated cardboard kind of a photograph, which eventually we put it onto a frame. And Swami threw a photograph. That photograph flies over the entire set of students waiting. There are about 70, 80 students, like a frisbee, typical like a boomerang, and comes right over my head and falls into the open corridor in front of us. So I pick up the photo and I look at Bhagwan. Just share the snap. Now Swami does this. Now see the snap which Swami gave. Can you see this? So this is the snap that Swami gave me. This is on our house. In fact, right now it's right on top, which Swami gave, which we laminated and kept. Anybody opens a door, first they see in our house is this snap. Sitting in the Bombay Chambur, when you come, I'll show the snap to you. It's right in the living room.
Oh, okay.
Swami has told us, boss, I am watching. Never in your life should you do something that Swami will never agree. This is like a demand for all of us. He posts us like that and he throws a snap where Swami is like this. Oh man. So that's a very, very unforgettable incident. And I'm very happily I kept that snap laminated and kept. It's like a lifetime reminder saying, I am with you, I'm watching you. Donapada, don't do something wrong. Be with Swami's grace. I really wanted to share this snap, which is right in front of me in our altar, where we pray to Bhagavan every day. Sathya, I hope we are connecting well. Maybe you can give me some 10 minutes more.
We have a lot of time.
Okay. I will share one more song. I won't end with it, but I'll share one more bhajan. It's more of a song than a bhajan. Swami said something about bhajans. I'll spend a couple of minutes on bhajans because this is something that all of us resonate a lot. We all enjoy in our own ways. And there are a lot of electronic mediums now available. You go to a bhajan a day. Every day there is a new bhajan getting launched. It's like a lifeline for us. Our Samithi convener also drops a message of bhajans every day in our WhatsApp group, which we download and we listen in the morning when I go to work and all that. Bhajan, in my opinion, I think is the easiest and the most effective form of devotion to Bhagavan. I know even now, as an elderly person, I have a 16-year-old daughter. The days I am tired, my dad sings bhajan and I go to sleep. You sing any other song, I'm up and listening. Appa sings some bhajans, he sings so well. He'll sing a few bhajans. At 47-year-old guy that I am now, I go to sleep listening to Swami's bhajans. That is the power of bhajans. Swami's bhajans are your cure. If you are happy, listen to Swami's bhajans. If you are sad, listen to Swami's bhajans. If you are with friends, listen to Swami's bhajans. If you are going on a trip, you can listen to Swami's bhajans. I'm saying there are other forms of music also, but Swami's bhajans, the power that it has is amazing. I tell my daughter multiple times, she's also learning music in a big way, trying to get better. When you listen to bhajan, Swami said, bhajans, any bhajan for that matter, every bhajan goes to Bhagavan only. When you sing bhajan for the first 25 times, you are singing the bhajan. When you're singing the bhajan for the first 25 times, you are only singing the bhajan. When you're singing the bhajan for the next 25 times, you are experiencing the bhajan. But you're still within the bhajan. It's only you and the bhajan. When you're singing bhajan for the next 25 times, you are experiencing the bhajan. When you're singing the bhajan for the third 25 times, that is 51 to 75 times, everybody around you is singing the bhajan with you because they are an equal participant. And when you sing the bhajan for the 100th time, Swami sings with you. That is what Swami said. Swami sings the bhajan with you. You have merged with Swami in terms of the offering of the bhajan because you realize the power of the bhajan. It is not mere lip service, which is a very clear reason why we never get tired by singing any bhajan ever. Be it Ganesha Sharanam, Sharanam Ganesha, you sing 100 times, you never get tired. That's the power of bhajan, because it is a form of prayer that connects Bhagwan with all of us. We all love Bhagwan. We love Swami in our own various ways. So I thought I will just share one song which all of us would have heard, all of us would have sung multiple times. We just composed during our student period. We were all students and we were part of the composing team in our own little small way when this bhajan was started. If you can very nicely. This is more of a single thing.
I think Sathya is also singing. He can sing with you.
Follow so
Okay, no problem. Done. Good.
हमको तुमसे प्यार कितना, हमको तुमसे प्यार कितना, साई तुम ही जानते, साई तुम ही जानते, दिलों की धड़कन तुम हो साई, दिलों की धड़कन तुम हो साई, तुम हमारे प्राण हो, you are our life, भगवान, तुम हमारे प्राण हो, हमको तुमसे प्यार है, we love you, hear us Lord, we love you. There are a couple of Telugu lines. I'll sing them and then I'll translate them. Amazing lyrics. Neevuleni ma jeevanam, neevuleni ma jeevanam, neeruleni chepavedanam. Neevuleni ma jeevanam. Without you, my life is like neeruleni chepavedanam. Without water, how will a fish struggle? It is equal to that. If you are not in my life is compared to a fish which does not have water. Neevuleni ma jeevanam, neeruleni chepavedanam, nee sannide maaku pennide, nee sannide maaku pennide, neevu chupe prana samanam, neevu chupe prana samanam, neevu maaku ke bandhamu, adiye prema bandhamu, tumse pyar kitna. My connection with you, Swami, is like a look at you is my life, is my breath of life. We love you. What a fantastic song. This is sung by all the students in the year 1990 or 91 is when the first time it was composed by some of our seniors like Shailesh and others who are still there in Puttaprathi. We all sang it together. Swami just couldn't stop himself. Just couldn't stop himself. The way Swami got emotional when he heard this bhajan was awesome. It was composed by some of our senior boys there. We all were taught this bhajan and we sang it in the year 91 for the first time, 91 or something. So it was the first time. And ever since it's been sung in various occasions, and many such bhajans were composed by some of the boys there and sung. And one very, very big way, and I feel I'll leave a message in this group for all our colleagues who are in the group, is that continue singing bhajans in any form, wherever you can, for whatever time you can. I think there is no stronger and more direct connection of devotees with Bhagwan than, let's say, bhajans can connect. And it's the most simplest form. Everybody can sing a bhajan in whatever way they like, in whatever environment that is available for them to sing. Be it residence, be it work, be it wherever. I've had multiple occasions of participating in various seva activities. I've seen devotees sharing some of their examples, devotees talking about many, many things. I'll actually share only one example which I know, and I thought it's unimaginable example. And I think with that, it's close to about an hour. So we will call our Satsangh close. This example is, I'm sure you would have heard this Shini in some occasion in the past. There was a group of devotees from Australia who had come to Puttaparthi somewhere in the 80s or 90s. I don't recollect the time. But it was told to us by our professors in Puttaparthi. And we were all sitting in the Parayanam session when they heard. You're talking about what Swami can do. We all have seen his creations. We have seen so many such things. In fact, I want to share one more before I get into this. It was a summer course of 92 when Swami was in the stage, standing on the stage, giving his divine discourse. Swami would have seen, never has he got off the stage when he gives a discourse. I don't think so anybody would have ever seen Swami while giving a discourse, he gets off the stage and comes back. But that one occasion it happened. He was talking about Nala Damayanti, and he talked about a divine pendant. Apparently, Damayanti, after she got married and she went to her bridegroom side, she was missing her home. And she was very, very disappointed and dejected that she was missing her home. So what Nala did is he created a swan, a golden swan, a diamond swan, which Damayanti used to have as a favorite pet, put it into a locket and gave it to her. So Swami waved his hand and created a diamond necklace ka pendant along with the chain. And what Swami did, I think I have never seen in my student age, and I'm sure many of you wouldn't have seen. He got off the auditorium stage, came down. This is the auditorium, typical theatre sitting. I'm talking about Brindavan College auditorium. It is not the ground. People are not sitting on the floor. They're sitting on chairs, the foldable chairs like a theatre sitting. Swami went between the rows of the entire auditorium, some 30, 35 rows. If you see, you're going to a typical movie, let's say PVR or Inox, and somebody comes a little late, you need to move back to let the guys go through your feet. Na? Something like that. Swami's knees were rubbing against students and he would walk between rows, showing them the diamond necklace. And that's how, and at the end of the thing, when he finished walking through the entire theatre period, he just sent the diamond necklace back to where it was. Some of the miracles Swami has done are unimaginable. We all have seen so many such examples. So I'll complete with this one very, very interesting example. Some devotees had come to Australia, from Australia to India, and some various Samithis in Australia as they came. And one particular devotee had his mother or father, some very close family member, chronically ill. That person just, I think, wasn't to survive or was in his last stage or some very, 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 very critical medical condition. And there are some 21 devotees, or say, I'm just getting the number approximate, who had come from Australia to visit Bhagwan. This one devotee, and a gentleman, he came and started crying profusely in front of Bhagwan, saying, my mom or dad, I don't recollect what relationship was, is very, very badly ill, and Swami, you only have to save them or something. So Swami said, don't worry, I will take care of them. But you have to be with them. You please go back there with them immediately. Swami said, you go back immediately. Now, this is happening in Puttaprathi in India, and that relative is in US, in Australia. What Swami did, asked the devotee through all the other devotees after the interview room to move out of the interview room door, go back to the place where the public is sitting. And Swami asked this one devotee to go through the other direction of the door. So Swami has another smaller room inside where some stuff are kept to be given to devotees. So Swami asked them, there is a cloth thing and there is a wooden door behind. Swami said, separate the cloth, open the door and go in. That devotee opened the door. Now I'm saying this a little slowly so that you grasp the gravity of what happened. That devotee opens the curtain, opens the door and steps in. He enters the operating theatre in Australia. He gets into the interview room in Puttaparthi. He puts his foot. He is teleported in physical. It's not a form or it's not an imagination. He is in Australia in the operating theatre or the place medical area where his family is. His near one is there. Swami materialized Vibhuti and tell him go and give it to that person. And the person survives. And then later on, a few day or so later, he calls the rest of his 20 friends who are there, saying that boss, this is what happened. Because they're wondering, where did this guy go? Hum log to 21, we went inside, 20 came out. Where is the last guy? Where did he vanish? Swami sent him physically back to Australia then and there. We just couldn't believe when we heard this. And we heard this from multiple of our professors, from people whom they have directly in the group. It's not a hearsay or it's not some people feel that these experiences didn't happen or no, you're just making it up. No. They heard it from people who have actually experienced some of these things, and it came over years to us. Which is why some of the intricate details I'm not able to recollect. It's been 30 years since I have heard it too. But what more do we want? When we have a Bhagwan, we have a life source for us. Wherever we go, we have, I would say it's a moral obligation for us to give back to Bhagwan, give back to his mission, whatever we can, in whatever little way that we can. Be it to seva. No seva is big or no seva is small. Whatever opportunities we have. I'm not a professor. I'm not trying to sermonize anything. I'm just sharing what is appearing in my mind. I think it's our little chance by participating in bhajans as much as we can, connecting with each of us in occasions wherever we can. Our Saturday bhajans are commencing from next Saturday. Shrini, please aayega. Whenever we get a chance. And we just don't miss it. Saturday, like how Sathya was mentioning, Sunday evening, this 1 hour is blocked for satsang. Our Saturday evenings, 1 hour is blocked for bhajans. Unless we're out of town or there's some compelling reason we just can't. Otherwise, they're all there. As family, we're usually there. So I think somewhere Swami has given us this life force of he himself. What more do you want? He's given bhajans, he's given so much of literature. Today with technology coming in, we are transcending what must be about 6 years to 8:30 approximately for you all there. Swami has connected so many of us worldwide so easily. And what more do we want? Such affection, such wisdom, such clarity, such anecdotal examples. There are bhajans which have such suitable lyrics for every situation that you want. If you want, Mera Jeevan Tere Hawale, Prabhu Pag Pag Tune Mujhe Saware. Every bhajan you pick up, there are words that actually suit you or connect to a situation in some way or the other. I have a small Bluetooth speaker in my office. Around the day, bhajans are on. Something is on. When a meeting is on, I just mute it or shut it. And when there's nobody, I'm again starting bhajans. That's my 24-hour dincharya. When I'm traveling to work or I'm getting back to work, the little jogging and walking that I do in the morning, my phone is on. Before you go to sleep, there is bhajans going on in the night so that the environment is covered with. I think I can't thank Swami enough. All of us can't thank Swami enough for the amount of affection and love that he's bestowed. And what more to say? I think any amount of words will be insufficient to describe the omnipresence, the omniscience, and the omnipotence of Bhagavan. And it's all our duty in some way or the other to contribute to this mission in whatever little way you can. I'm sure senior devotees like yourself, Sathya, and others are doing a very, very fine job in connecting people globally through these mediums and spreading Bhagavan's words and sitting and talking about Swami. I have never really formally given any talk or anything like this ever, Shini, though I've done small sessions elsewhere. This is a great opportunity for me also to look into what my time has been in so many years and do a reflective period. So I think with this, I'll thank Shini for your time. It's 6 and my little cell phone is alarming saying that both of you. And,
No. We still have 25 minutes.
So I told Shini I'll listen some from you or Shini. Shini, maybe you can participate in and share. I think I do not want to extend further because it won't be right. I told him for an hour. There is never enough that you can discuss about Bhagavan. You can go on and on and on.
So please continue sharing whatever else you have experienced when you were there or later. We still have at least 25 minutes more. It's beautiful whatever we are hearing so far.
So let me share some instances of. I'll share some instances which show Swami's presence in its own way. It's a little different instance. It's not a. This was those days in way back in the. I'll take 10 minutes more. 10 minutes more. Way back in 1990, we used to come to Dharmavaram from a bus from a hostel and then take the bus and go back to Mumbai in our annual holidays. And there was no proper flights because those days we couldn't take flights so much and we never had the flights connection as frequently as we have now. And obviously things have changed over a period of time. We were also kids and train travel was so much fun. And trains also, if you know the way hostels used to be then, you can't just go there and there's no IRCT, there's nothing. There is no mobile phone, there's no internet. There's only those. I wish we had those technologies then. You could shoot and we could worry. We had those 24 exposure and 36 exposure films. That's what you could shoot. And you need to do truck shot. So you're also counting how much, when will you get a best glance of Bhagavan so that you don't end up consuming the 24 shots you have. Else you need to go and turn the reel and all that. That is the era in which we've seen Bhagavan. There's no internet. Huh? Otherwise, so many more moments we could have captured. We never had all of those. So we had a gentleman in our hostel who used to book tickets for us. We were 4 boys from Mumbai. We used to come back together and go together because it was more convenient from a logistics point of view. And I was coordinating for them in terms of giving the money to the boy for the train ticket and keeping the ticket safe, giving to the TC and all that. If you notice those days, the train to Mumbai was Udhyan in the night and it used to come at 0020 hours at 12:20 in the night at Dharmavaram. So you have to get the date right. Sometimes you'll end up booking for the earlier day which went by 0020. You'll be very careful which date you book so that night exactly you're done. So very carefully we should write that down and go there and keep the ticket carefully. Today's world, you can't flash a mobile phone and say, "Lay me a ticket," and all that stuff. Ticket name, you're technically without a ticket is the scene. So I kept it very carefully in my purse. We all got down from the hostel, and because you couldn't go, the train was at midnight 20. You couldn't do anything, so they used to send you out of the hostel after bhajans 6:37, 7 o'clock go back home. The hostel will shut at 7. So 7 o'clock if you leave, by 7:45, 7:50 you're in Dharmavaram, 1 hour max. By 8 o'clock you're in Dharmavaram, 6:45 let's say you leave. 8 o'clock to 12 midnight, 4 hours what to do? It's not some place you usually go around, you go to a restaurant, you eat. It's completely barren. There's just nothing. There's one tree, maybe advice to give you company, you can look at the tree. Nothing else you can do in Dharmavaram in those days. You have to sit there in the train, in the the platform area for 4 hours. We all went there. We put our luggage in some spot because by now we know exactly where a bogie will come and all that. And we were sitting in the waiting room. An hour passed by. There's nobody in the station also. Station staff also has gone home. They're not going to care because they also know one train raat ko 1 baje aayega. Look, waise jayenge. About 1.5 hours, 2 hours later, around 9:30, for some reason, somebody had some tea vendor. So I was looking to my purse. To my utter horror, pocket mein purse nahi hai. Pocket mein purse nahi. It's about 9 o'clock. 8 o'clock we got on. 1 hour after we got on. Train is at midnight. 9 o'clock. The bus that dropped us went back long back. All those ST buses from Dharmavaram would come, pick up the students in the hostel, drop me, and they'll go back. Pocket mein purse nahi hai. When I left the hostel, I had the purse in my pocket, in which there is a little bit of money, some 100-200 bucks, and I have the ticket in which all 4 of us has to go. Now, how to board the train? My God, what to do? And there is nothing like you just walk out. If you see how Dharmavaram is, the Dharmavaram bus stop from the railway station is a good 2 kilometers, 2.5 kilometers. You can just get up and walk off there. I got completely panicky. I started sobbing. I called some of my other senior brothers who were also going to Mumbai saying, this is the condition. All the other 3 guys said, you should have kept it carefully. We shouldn't have trusted you. You useless fellow. All that tension and all this excitement and above. There is one ticket. What to do? And the printed ticket. You have no other mechanism. Imagine this in the year 1989 or 1989 or 1990. So then I asked this gentleman, Ravi Mariwala. All of us know Ravi Mariwala. He was a senior brother. We both went to Dharmavaram bus stop. And how we went to the bus stop? Outside there was one tonga, horse-driven tonga. For some reason, that one tonga existed. Otherwise, the whole railway station is barren. There is not a sign of a human being. Then one tonga was waiting. I don't know where it came from, for whom it was coming. There is no passenger. No, there is no train. There is nothing. Then that one tonga was waiting. Moment I went, he said, bus stop. He said, yes. In our excitement, we jumped. I don't recollect what he charged, what we paid. I don't have any memory of that. We rushed to the bus stop. The tonga waited for us. We went to the bus stop and there are buses everywhere, like a typical small city bus stop. How to check which bus came from Puttaprathi? So we went immediately rushing to the control room or some kind of a room where the staff of APSRTC sits. And we asked them, can you tell me the bus that came around 7 o'clock from Puttaparthi? And Puttaparthi, there are some 7 or 8 buses that leave from various parts. One of the bus dropped us in Dharmavaram and they went. There are a couple of other trains also where she had gone to other parts of the country. Bombay train was only the last one at 12:20. He said, तुम्हारा 4 या 5 बस गया, कौन सा बस मुझे पता नहीं. तुम देखो, वहाँ कहीं होगा. So they just show his hand in the corner. Corner मतलब a huge bus stop. I am scared, I am crying. Ravi saying, yaar, tu don't take tension, let's look. Swami will find a way. We ran everywhere. We generally got into whatever bus which looked like the bus in which we came. Who remembers bus numbers? Who remembers the bus form? Everything is painted the same, no? What to do? We ran all over. Then we found some buses there and we asked everyone. Absolutely no hope. All of a sudden, looking back, it is Bhagwan only. Some chap comes and says, hey, you're looking for Puttaparthi bus? In Telugu he spoke. We had not announced or something. How will you know I'm looking for Puttaparthi bus? 2 fellows running around in the middle of the night means what? Means nothing. He calls and says, are you looking for Puttaparthi bus? And he points on bus very, very far away. Parked in the bus stand, not in this area. Wo bus hai, udhar dekho. We didn't even bother looking who told us. It was Swami in some form, in my opinion, because we had not even announced or we had not spread the word around. How will someone know that we are looking for a bus from Puttaparthi? We generally asked 1 or 2 conductors, and suddenly one guy from nowhere comes and says, you're looking for a bus. We ran to the bus. And I went to the seat I was sitting. In the seat corner, my purse was very strongly wedged. The entire bus was wet because they had cleaned the bus. We washed it for the next trip or whatever. The bus was completely wet. It was impossible that somebody didn't notice a purse there. Any staffer would have seen the purse and taken the money out. So to way, it had got wedged in this gap somehow. And we got to pick it up. Now, who was this person? Who was the Tonga driver? How did they know that I am looking for a Puttaparthi bus? How do they guide us there? How was the purse kept in a manner that it was not stolen by anybody? Anybody will see a purse, they will either pick it up, put it in lost and found, or take whatever money is inside. Because when you're traveling out of town, you keep a couple of hundreds. My purse was kept there very, very safe. I removed the purse. I opened it. I saw Swami's photo. We all have a Swami's photo saying, wife here when I'm here. And there is a Swami's railway ticket sitting inside, perfectly safe. I just couldn't imagine how is it possible. It might sound very stupid, say, it is a coincidence. Now for believers, it's not a coincidence. For non-believers, anything is a coincidence. That is how you dismiss a act of Bhagwan. For me, it was Bhagwan who came in the form of a Tonga driver. Nobody else. For 1.5 hours, there is not one crow which flew there. Why will a Tonga driver wait there? Only guy waiting and only for us. And then that guy's appearing from nowhere saying, go pick up the bus. There is a bus waiting there. My purse is wet from outside, but nothing is wrong with the such. There are so many such little instances where Swami is shown his omnipresence and he's shown that don't worry, my home there is. I'll take care of you. And we picked up, we came back, and my guys were saying, yeah, Swami aake bachaya hum logo. We went back to Mumbai very comfortably. One of those little instances, something like this happened, and we were very surprised. Another one in Brindavan, a little different. I'm saying this was an example of Swami's omnipresence. I'll show Swami's example of cure, medical cure, how he does that. There is a guy who was a polio attack patient. We also had, I saw it, I was sitting there, and there are so many of us. He's never walked in his life. He has never walked in his life. Somebody from some country, I don't know. He was wheelchair led into thrive from the side. Swami applied oil. Swami waved his hand, and his hand was wet with oil. He applied oil on that gentleman's feet, and the interview lasted for an hour. The person who has never walked in his lifetime, he must be a 25, 30-year-old person, he came out pushing his own wheelchair. He came out walking down the slope of Brindavan, pushing his own wheelchair. He has never walked one day in his life in 25 years. Swami applies oil on his foot. He comes out pushing his wheelchair. We were all sitting there like children, like one show. We were all clapping because we saw that person being led inside. It was a big thing. Swami was helping. Isko udhar pakdo, udhar pakdo, udhar pakdo, and with some amount of procession, that person was led into the interview room in the trai from the side where they used to keep those little bunny rabbits and all there. They did that, and he comes back, slowly pushing his wheelchair. Swami created his leg for him there. Walk back. Look, I don't know how many more miracles that one can see. Awesome time. I can go on and on if I had known more examples, but I don't know any other mechanism in which we could thank Bhagavan for his omnipresence in our life. Srini, I'm sure you have experienced so many in your own life. We've been fortunate to listen to so many of your videos in person and on YouTube. This is a phenomenon that can't be explained scientifically. And in little ways it keeps coming. Somewhere Swami will show his omnipresence. It is just for us to trust and take him into this. I keep telling my kid and around, don't worry, think of Bhagavan, he'll find a solution. And I think that's the way he's taking care of all of us as a Sai family. So with this, Sathya sir, you should give me
yeah. So Anand, just a question or a suggestion. So you were talking about all your learnings at the college, and after that coming into the practical life. Okay, and how there are numerous occasions when we come across these situations when we are tested rather. Okay, and then how Swami guides us, okay, in going along the right path. Would you like to share some instances with us?
Let me see, I'll try to quote it in the manner that, because most of them are corporate life, so I will not get into specific instances. There were instances where I was heading credit functions. I work in a retail banking environment. At a particular point in time, I was heading credit for a particular line of business of mine, where I need to sanction high expense loans. And obviously, when you have a commercial transaction worth crores, there is a very good chance that the person who's seeking the finance will create an environment that is not conducive to the bank. It will be a scenario where if you slightly don't look at it carefully, you could easily fall for, let's say, a bribe or a threat or a forced overlook of a circumstance, or something in your mind will say, do it this way, but the circumstance won't permit you to do so. And should a decision go wrong, it could cause financial fatalities for the organization. And I have had many in my career where I have faced some of these situations. So in those situations, what I would say, while there is a paper mechanism of doing something, there is a gut which says that, nahi yaar, ye sahi nahi. This is not sounding good. No, there is no scientific way to explain what this means. I would just close my eye, think of Bhagavan, think of what Swami has to say, think of what the others are trying to say. I'll say decision is depending upon what the organization wants, because it's an artificial person. However, my stance in this is so and so. Absolutely blatantly, I would come and say, this is my stance. This is what I feel is the right way to go about from an organization's health perspective, and from what is meritocracy from the organization's ethics point of view, and that ability and the guts, because this, what I would say, is not considered the right sound bites in a scenario like this, because it is very anti-growth, it's very anti-popularism, it's very anti, a few people who are at the helm of affairs. It might be antagonizing a few people in power, all that happens. And I'm sure all of you would have lived corporate lives where you've seen scenarios like this. But I have been fortunate to be, and I'm sure many of us have been fortunate that I just speak my mind out. So while it has had its own hazards at times, it has helped me over a long time to create a sense of credibility कि he's a no nonsense guy. ये सही बोलता है, कभी गलत बोलता ही नहीं है. इसका एक भगवान का पावर है. वो तुम्हारे कहने पे नहीं आएगा. If I can use Hindi a little freely. So and that builds your own credibility over a period of time in whatever little way at your own respective corporate sectors. And the fact that you can lean back to your own inner voice, which is guided by Bhagwan from a conscious point of view, has kept me at good stead. Thankfully, over a period of time, it's proven that those decisions of mine were right. Maybe sometimes it's okay. There could be other points of view as well. But you are very clear that you don't carry back a malice of having erred from a conscience point of view. You know, there are people who even, there have been scenarios where we've been given threats. I won't say a death threat because thankfully my job was not so bad. There were some jobs though, but they were given threats. ये कर दे वरना तो वरना यार जो भी है गलत है तो गलत है नहीं करूंगा. And that the fact that you have Bhagwan guiding you is a force that cannot be monetized or cannot be equated down to say so many joules of power. It is your own internal voice and conscience. And those many instances in small or bigger ways, depending on the circumstance, has come in my life, and many more of my own friends who are in my own workplace who are either an ex-student or Swami's devotees. There are 5-6 of us who bond very well, who are from Swami's institution, either in the form of ex-students or who have been into Samitis and all. We keep connecting over chai, coffee, saying, yaar, aaj aisa hua, waisa hua. Bhagwan hai, humko bacha liye. So Sathya ji, these things have happened. Now, I don't know whether I answered your question, but I just, and I keep telling my family members at times, yaar, situation, the way it's going, yaar, abhi pata nahi, kal naukri rahega, nahi rahega, but doesn't matter. Perumal mele Bharat pottu, unki idhi serene tontodu nahi sahi. Swami mele Bharat pottu. In other words, for non-Tamil speaking people, Bhagwan ke upar put your trust on Bhagwan and do what you think Swami is guiding you. And I've done that always. It's worked. It's going on. I don't know whether commercially this can be equated with the best decision, but it doesn't matter. Sir, I hope if it's even a portion of my...
Anand, at any point in time, did you ever feel the, after Swami leaving his physical body, Anand, did you ever feel a void, or the inner, this thing always was very strong enough and you could experience him? Are there any instances you could share?
Sir, I'm sure all of us will agree that if we had even a slight inkling, we would have tripped to Parthi so many more times before 2011. I'm sure all of us, we were part of the 2007 Prema Bandham for the first time. When as ex-student, our batch started, the concept of this ex-student meet of 1st of January was started by our batch because we belong to the illustrious Sathya Salian's batch. We are in the same batch. So he helped put all of this together, where we sat in Bhagwan's presence in the Bhajan hall for almost 2.5 hours. By the next, some devotee, some group from Andhra had come and their program got delayed. Swami said, it's okay, said, hamari bache log hai. So physical presence missing is for sure there. You can't take it away. All said and done, when you see Swami in physical presence, there is a different amount of energy and urge that comes. Our trips to Puttaprathi maybe have become a little less frequent than it would have been had Swami physically been there. And I will not bluff to say that it's just the same. But all said and done, it is not dropped like it doesn't exist. Because we have always thought about Bhagwan everywhere we go. The amount of involvement in activities have, I would say, a level gone up more than what it was earlier. Maybe it's also because we slightly grown older in life, so we have time to not get into the typical sugarcane machine of corporate life, and we have some time to take out to decide to put into Seva and others. But I would say our association with Seva has gone up a little more, or participation in bhajans and other activities has gone up a little more in the last 7-8 years as compared to the first 2000 to 2010 decade. I would say for myself for this. But Swami's physical presence definitely has made a lot of difference. Going to a bhajan where Swami is standing and you're running and you're craning your neck and trying to catch a glimpse of the orange robe is not the same as going your turn and taking a rose petal and walking off. So I will not say that it's absolutely the same. It's made a difference, but it doesn't mean that any of our activities has dimmed or dropped or have reduced, or our affection for Bhagwan has reduced or anything like that. That is absolutely not. I say this because from a student point of view, we have been more fortunate to see Swami in physical form so much more than the batches of these days. So they don't relate to some of the things that we speak about. They will not say that you could walk around with Swami, you holding Swami's hand and Swami putting a hand on your shoulder around, like random and Swami pushing you guys aside to make a road to walk across. These things are not people thinks that students of these age associated, because they never seen, some of the kids haven't seen Swami in physical form ever in the recent few years. So that has made a difference. So sir, Sathya sir, Nandri, Vaipuggu, Uttaru Vankre.
No, very, very beautiful. Because even before the satsang started, like you mentioned, the immediate connect, right? What, barely 4 hours before only we got connected. This today, I think in all our satsangs, this testing period, Swami has been extending more and more. And I think Srinivasan said today was the one where we didn't have a speaker just a few hours before the satsang, because Swami has his own plan, right? And we have told ourselves, whatever happens, okay, he has decided, only we don't know. So let us place that faith. And it was so, the bonding, like you mentioned, was so immediate. And now I realize why, because he has fed you with that son papdi and the sweetness in you, okay, so that you can spread it all over the world, wherever you go. You know, see, like you mentioned, Brother Anand, little do we understand all these, right? So when we reflect back, so the moment you mentioned that, okay, this was a thought that came to me, you know, like the sweetness of the individual was also fed by Swami. And he dusted away everything else that could be remaining despite that sweetness, you know. So such beautiful learnings that we get every week, you know, for you it may appear to be an incidence, but for us, it is Sai Bhagavatam. So, and we can feel the Krishna period, the Gopikas, Gopis, when you said about how discipline and other things vanish completely when you want to seek the proximity of the Lord, you know, that displays absolute love, you know, and in that age when there are so many distractions in the world, right? So that's why we said all of you are the gems, all of us are so fortunate. And today has been very, very blissful, brother. And I do hope this is just a family gathering. The family is expanding over the last 2 years. Okay, every week we are having new family members joining and sharing this Sai Bhagavatam. And please do join us any Sunday that you are free. And we pray to Swami that he continues to guide you. And I think he knew what kind of a job you were going to get into. So he blessed you with that picture also, you know, so that you always have that visible element in front of your eyes. See how much Swami thinks of each of us.
So true, sir. So true, sir. It will be nice to listen to a very small bhajan from your side, Sathya sir.
I think today we were all blessed, I think, to listen to you. Yeah, I don't mind. And the thing was, you sang Prem Ishwaraya. Okay. Just a week before, Srinivasan Anna has sang the same song.
I picked it up because I heard him share his YouTube with us. I picked it up largely because I love the bhajan, and I sent him a message after I heard his bhajan saying this is a really fantastic bhajan, and I requested him to come to our Samiti and sing it as well.
Yeah, because we have been experiencing that Sai love over the last 2 weeks in so many forms, you know. So that's why that song was so beautiful, and it was really blissed today actually to listen to that once again, you know, reiterating. So actually, maybe I would request Srinivasan Anna to sing a bhajan today. Anna?
He sings Aruna Ramana very well. Sir, Aruna Ramana, one line. One line.
Sairam Anna?
Yeah, I will sing. But before that, you know, I just wanted to tell one thing. We always hear from everyone that you have to sing a bhajan 100 times and then only you render so that you get that connect. Okay. And that was the first, incidentally, Aruna Ramana, in fact, Anand asked me to sing, and that is the first bhajan ever that I learnt directly from the composer T.V. Hariharan Anna. when he had come to Mumbai, and I was just bordering on the ledge. I was like becoming a devotee of Swami. That is the time that he taught me as a guru, you know. And after so much of time only, I really started singing that with confidence. But the way Anand has put it, to reiterate, in each phase, what you do, first 25 times that you sing, we just sing, okay. Then second is experiencing the bhajan. Then third 25 times, everyone is with you. And the last time, Swami sings with you. And this point is reiterated again and again. And I'm telling you, whenever we had sessions of practice with Anand, he always would say, please avoid complicated bhajans. Take simple bhajans and sing it nicely. That's why he again mentioned about Ganesh Sharanam Sharanam Ganesha. You would keep on singing that bhajan, but you can do a lot of justice if you sing it so many times, So that's really a takeaway for me, because I always, jump into bhajans and start singing new bhajans. But that point again, Swami is reiterating for me. Okay, so definitely I'll do that. In C sharp, I'll do that Aruna Ramana. Dhyanamoolam Gururmurtim Poojamulam Gurupadam Mantramulam Gururvakyam Mokshamulam Guru Kripa Mokshamulam Sai Kripa Aruna Ramana Shri Gurudeva Aruna Ramana Shri Gurudeva Sesha Ramana Sadgurudeva Sesha Ramana Sadgurudeva Aruna Ramana Shri Gurudeva Bhava Bhaya Harana Shri Sai Deva Bhava Bhaya Harana Shri Sai Deva 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 Bhava Bhaya Harana Shri Sai Deva Guru hai Sadchit Anand Deva Guru hai Sadchit Anand Deva Anand Deva Shri Sai Deva Anand Deva Shri Sai Deva Aruna Ramana Shri Guru
Beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much. Real bits.
Anand, thank you so much for this wonderful session at such short notice. You have really kept us spellbound. See, these are times when you also reminisce, and those golden moments you are able to bring about. And now I am going to be very aggressive about you. I'm going to be very possessive about you, of making you speak on many platforms, because this is just an opening of, I don't say Pandora's box, a love box, and you can continue to keep spreading the love, because as Sathya rightly put, Swami has sweetened your face with that son papdi, and only the sweetness remains. all the other things he has wiped out, so that the lips that you have is only to sing his glory, to speak about his glory and spread the love. And that is how he has transformed your life, and aptly so. Maybe it may not be apt for me to say, but he is senior president digital transformation in S Bank. Again, transformation. So Swami has also given him that, task of transformation. And now we will all request you to continue to transform our lives by sharing experience of Swami that we experience, so that we experience his divinity and be in this kind of satsang ever. Thank you so much. We end this session with 3 Samasta Lokas. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय.
Sairam sir, thanks a lot to all the other brothers and sisters and family members of Singapore Summit. Thanks a lot.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.